By the way, there's a political showdown happening right now in Texas that could affect elections across the country. These are Texas Democrats holding a press conference in Illinois after fleeing their state. They're trying to stop a vote in the Texas House that would allow Republicans to redraw district lines in order to gain seats. The traveling Democrats say Texas Republicans are attempting to take power away from voters and give it unchecked to politicians for their own gain. Now, Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is threatening to remove and replace any Democratic lawmakers who failed to show up for today's state house session. And now this Texas fight is spilling into other states. Democratic governors nationwide are watching Texas closely and considering their own redistricting to protect their own majorities. So when politics becomes an eye for an eye, does anyone actually win, or do we all lose? Joining us now to untangle all of this is CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, good morning. So let's start with what's happening today. There's going to be a session in the Texas House, and Governor Greg Abbott says he's trying to find a way to effectively have these Democratic legislators who are not there forfeit their offices. Is that even possible?
So I think it is possible, but maybe not probable. And all of this, of course, emphasizes that, by the way, redistricting is a huge, huge issue, maybe the foundational issue when we talk about politics. But what Greg Abbott is relying on is a essentially advisory opinion from the Texas Attorney General's office. That's not binding. And that opinion says, in part, that when there's a vacancy, basically you can go to court and say, we think that this person forfeited their office. I think that there is, frankly, a long distance to travel between sending this letter, relying on this advisory opinion from the Attorney General's office, and actually being able to remove elected lawmakers from their positions.
So, Jessica, the Texas Republicans are attempting to gain 5 House seats, as you know, by redrawing district lines. Let's not forget, Democrats have done this in the past, too, in other states. So is this move legally sound? When Democrats or Republicans attempt to do this, what do the courts say?
So, Vlad, you know, I love this question because it reminds us that when it comes to claims of so-called political gerrymandering, what do we mean by that? Drawing district lines so that a party either keeps or increases power, that those particular claims are not something called justiciable by federal courts, meaning the Supreme Court has said, don't come to a federal judge with a legal claim that a line or a number of lines are a political gerrymander, that's really a decision left up to elected officials. So legally, where are we? Legally, we're in a place where either if you have a problem with how lines are drawn, you have to rely on state law, depending on what that particular state says. Maybe they protect political gerrymandering, maybe they don't. Or you have to do something which is pretty difficult, which is make a claim that lines amount to a racial gerrymander, that they violate the Voting Rights Act or the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause.
There are states that protect political gerrymandering, Jessica?
So there are some states, I will say, I was a little general because this is an area a bit in flux, but there are some states that try to say, I'm speaking to you from California, for instance, we have an independent redistricting commission. It's part of the Constitution, and there's a list of criteria that those 14 people who this independent commission can rely on. And the ability to say, we are going to draw district lines to maintain or increase political power is not one of them. Other states essentially say that that's something that should be left up to elected lawmakers. So it's not that it's in the Constitution and says political gerrymandering, let's do it. It's that that's not a claim that you can bring either under state or federal law.
So this is raising an interesting point, Jessica, because the governor of your state, Gavin Newsom, has threatened to override this independent commission that you described for us. And part of it is because those Texas lawmakers, those Democrats, are saying what you just said, that what is happening is intentionally racist and designed to disenfranchise Black and Latino voters. Is there validity to that claim? And can Governor Newsom override that independent commission?
Okay, I'm going to say it's a compound question, but let's go for it. So is there validity to the racial gerrymander claim? The racial gerrymandering claim is, I will say, we haven't seen the lines yet, but it's hard to prove. And what we know, Vlad, is the defense would be, well, I was drawing those lines because I wanted more Republicans in the House. I didn't draw those lines because I wanted to dilute minority voting power. We know that there's a case that was just asked to be re-argued before the Supreme Court out of Louisiana, and it will tell us more about the validity of those claims. Back to California really quickly, back to Governor Newsom. He's going to have to call a special session. He's going to have to ask the voters to temporarily suspend that independent redistricting commission so that he can do what other governors do, basically say it's bare knuckle politics time. Let's draw district lines to get more Democrats in the House. And we have to look to voters in this case to see whether or not that will happen.
Wow. I always feel smarter after I spend some time talking to Jessica Levinson about the important legal issues our country is facing. Jessica, thank you very much.